Hey, how's everyone doing out there? Hope you're having a pleasant Sunday evening wherever you might be, or a happy Monday morning. If you're back at work here in Asia, if you're back at work over in Asia, how's everyone doing? We'll be having basically our main topic today is going to be looking at central bank digital currencies, where I came across a think tank who were basically shooting the breeze and trying to figure out how they would envision a central bank currency to be. And these were pretty important people. They actually have influence on this central bank digital currency. So we'll be taking a look at that. And of course, we'll be taking a look at a few articles from Gerald Salente's Trends Journal, our past interviews with David Morgan and David Hunter. And again, taking a look at some of the things going on in Twitter, and hope you folks will stick around, and I hope can bring some value to you. Colonel Brumley, or Colonel Broom, sorry, how are you doing, sir? KK, how you doing? Pablo Pina, aloha. James Richter, Polynesian Pip, how you doing? Patrick Bateman, greetings and salutations. Jay Delaney, how you doing? I'll be with you guys shortly. Hang in there, and again, glad that you are here. So let me know how the sound is, if audio is coming in okay for you, and be with you shortly. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira, and this is our live stream edition, where we hope to meet and greet more of you. Let us know your thoughts, your comments, and what's on your mind. Hopefully, we'll get through them and work through everything that's going on together. And if you are new, go ahead and type in new and where you're from, and we'll see if we can go ahead and acknowledge you. If you got questions, type a letter Q, a big fat Q in front of your name question, and hopefully we'll be able to see it and answer it. Either myself or Vincent, my colleague Vincent, who is on standby, who pretty much makes a lot of these things possible. So, Vincent, welcome aboard. Good morning to you as well. So, again, Pablo Pina, how you doing? Seymour Rivers, thank you for that. Audio is okay. Seymour Rivers, I think he probably is our ebook champion. Yeah, ebook champion Seymour Rivers. Good to see you again. Peggy Moore, how you doing? How you doing, ma'am? Yukon Cornelius, love that name. Rod, how you doing, sir? Bill, how you doing? Bill Wood from Tampa, how you doing? Again, James Richter. Again, appreciate you all being here. Just want to make sure that we're able to say hello to you. And it's been a while. Let's continue making this year the best year that we possibly can. So as always, you can find us on social media. Silverbullion.com.sg is our website. Yes, we do sell silver, gold, platinum, palladium, even nickel. We do store them as well, having a vault. And more than that, though, we do specialize in wealth protection. As I say each and every time we see each other, uh, a lot of you folks already know where we are at. And for those of you that don't, if you're trying to figure out how you can protect your wealth, or you're looking for options, possible solutions, give us a call, or shoot us an email. Shoot us an email at sales@silverbullion.com.sg, and we can go over the products and services that we have. It is a very interesting time, to say the least, with what's going on, whether it be all the money printing, whether it be the economy, information, things like that. So go ahead and give us a call, or shoot us an email, and we'll see what we can do for you. Silver Bullion SG is where you can find us on Facebook. Silver Bullion PL is our Twitter handle, PL for Private Limited. Silver Bullion SG is where you can find us on Instagram, for you folks that like Instagram. Audio versions can be found on bit.ly, bit.ly, SBTV iTunes, or SBTV Spotify, and Crisis Tracker. If you have that Telegram app, or even if you don't, go ahead and download that Telegram app. It's a pretty good, pretty secure communications type of an app, texting app, things like that. Go ahead and download it. And Vincent and I, what we do is we go through a lot of news, and some we absorb, and some we kind of just kind of dust it aside. But we try to find the things that are important people that are concerned about the economy, finance, people that are invested are looking to invest in gold or silver, the insurance properties that they do have, probably more than the investment properties, or equal to at least than the investment properties. But we'll go through the news, whether it's in the West, whether it's in the East, and try to give people a broader picture of what's going on. So I hopefully we'll see you in that crisis tracker group, and we'll do our best to keep everyone informed, because a lot of today is about the information that we are getting. So again, aloha, one and all. Welcome to our bi-weekly live stream. We'll see what we can do about that. Peggy Moore, I see your big Q. Hi, how I'm doing fine. Thank you. Doing the best we can. I hope everything is okay with you as well. Carrie Ellen Wilder, how you doing? Blizzard here in Pennsylvania. Blizzard. Oh, I didn't hear anything about that. Stay warm. Stay warm with your significant other if he's around, and you guys keep each other warm there, huh? Okay. Yes, Patrick Bateman. Vincent is the MVP. He is the MVP. More valuable than Patrick. That's what I say, MVP. So, Vincent, yes, you got to stick around also. You got to help me out here. So, again, if you are new, please do go ahead and subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified on updates, and thumbs ups are always appreciated. They let those YouTube algos know that we do exist, and maybe we are saying things that can help people along, or maybe they are things that people are looking for. So these thumbs ups absolutely do help us out a lot. Upcoming guest, we're going to have Rafi Farber. Rafi is the publisher of The Endgame Investor, an emotional balancing approach to the end of the fiat monetary system. I think some of you are familiar with Rafi. He does make his rounds on social media, whether he's being interviewed or giving interviews, and he's quite active on Twitter. He's definitely a guy that that looks and seeks sound money. So Rafi Farber coming up. And we're also going to have Rob Kirby. He's penciled in. He is penciled in. Rob Kirby, it's been a while. He worked on an institutional trading desk. He was a money bond broker. He worked for them, a company called Freedom Bond Brokers, which has subsequently been bought out by Cantor Fitzgerald. And then at Garvin Incorporated and another inter-dealer bond brokerage in Toronto. And he started writing in 97, started becoming an entrepreneur for himself, which led to the familiar Kirby Analytics newsletter and writing a book even titled From a Gold Bug's Point of View about the market. So I do hope that you, again, that you will subscribe and hit that bell so we can tell you when these interviews are coming up. It's been a while since we had Rob, so if you guys got questions for Rob, go ahead and throw them out in the community section, or here, let us know. So these are the upcoming guests. I can't wait to speak to them. And as always, we're going to be giving away actually an Amazon gift card. I may have to change these graphics, or I may go back to ebooks. Since I see Seymour Rivers here, I know he's going to want to win more ebooks. But to win these prizes, which is going to be a Amazon $10 Amazon gift card this week, um, you're going to have to do a few things. There are going to be some house rules. One of them is going to be that you need to be one of the first five to answer correctly in this live stream before the timer runs out. The question is going to come from the David Hunter interview. Okay, so we've got to scroll back our memory a little bit. It's going to come from David Hunter's interview. U.S. winners are going to be given a link to download the gift card. Non-U.S. winners, depending on if it works or not for you, you may have to contact Amazon to exchange the gift card. If maybe it's not working for your country or whatever it might be, contact Amazon. That part's going to be out of our control, and you're going to have to provide us with an email and no other messages in the email. But try and provide us. I mean, just provide us with an email, and we'll go ahead and we'll Vincent will see it. He sees everything. He's going to see it, and we will get these gift cards to you probably most likely after the live stream. So sit tight with that. So I will offer up the question soon. Let me take a look at comments. See a lot of good comments for Rob Kirby, Pablo Pina, two Class A guests. Yeah, Robbie Farber. He's making waves out there. He's putting himself out there. He's discussing things like sound money and how important it is. So good job with Rafi Farber and Rob. Pretty much everybody knows Rob. Let's see. 49Fine, CBCDtracker.com. Good info on CBDC's progress over the planet. Okay, I'll have to take a look at that. That I did not see. I think uh, Franklin Knoll had said in 2015 there were only like six or so papers written on CBDCs, countries that were really looking at them. But now there's some, I believe he said 90 or so, or something like that. I could have the number wrong, but just to say that this thing is growing quickly and exponentially, it's the real deal. It is going to come. So, which is why I wanted to take a look at what this think tank had to say about central bank digital currencies and pass it on to you. Seymour Rivers, of course, more ebooks. Our ebook champion, yes, King Seymour. Okay, let's see. Rafi is demanding delivery for his silver at the comics. We'll see how that goes. I'll keep in touch with Rafi, and I'll pass it on to you folks as well. Whatever is going on with that, how it's unfolding. Okay, so let's move on to the question for that $10 Amazon gift card. Question is, from the David Hunter interview, globally, everyone will be having high blank blank and high blank. So how do you service this? You don't. Okay, from the David Hunter interview, sorry guys. Globally, everyone will be having high blank blank and high blank. Both words start with the letter I. I guess I could throw a hint out there for you. One of them is two words. The other is just one word. They both start with I. I'll throw a little bone out for everyone there. So good luck with it. Just take a stab at it. You never know. You never know. You just might get it. So let's take a look at more of the comments here while you folks are trying to figure out what are these words that start with the letter I. All right. So let's see. Yeah, Carl Kirby is the best. Absolutely. It's been a while since we've seen him. Seymour Rivers, inflation and demand. I tell you what, you got one of the words right. They all start with the letter I. The both words start with the letter I. So you got that one right. Um, okay, inflation is one of them. Blood pressure, insanity. Interest expense and inflation, Mrs. Rabbit. Okay, that's pretty good. Peggy Moore, interest rates and inflation. Bell has rang, and that's it. That's it. So I'm going to give it to three people. It's actually interest rates and inflation. Mrs. Rabbit, you came out with interest expense and inflation. Close enough. We'll give that to you. Peggy Moore, you hit it on the head exactly. Interest rates and inflation. So, Mrs. Rabbit, Peggy Moore, good job there. And then we had Rod, Rod P. Mr. Panhard, inflation index and inflation close enough. We'll take that as well. So you guys came in with these answers before the bell. So good job, good job, great job there, Paul. You just missed it, buddy, just missed it. So again, the three that we're going to be looking to give these $10 Amazon gift cards to are going to be Mrs. Rabbit. Go ahead and we'll get your go ahead and get your email to Vincent if possible. Maybe Vincent can let them know how to send it to him. Peggy Moore is another one, interest rates and inflation, and then we had Rod with inflation index, inflation. Close enough. So these three, you guys made it. Congratulations, Seymour. You were close, my man. You were close. So let's take a look at what David Hunter actually had to say. So we will revisit the guest interviews, and this is what he really had to say.
With the 300 trillion, that will probably be over 400 trillion by then, maybe approaching 500 trillion in debt. And this will be happening globally. So everybody's going to have high inflation, high interest rates. How do you fund that? How do you service that debt? So that you get that you're on a collision course between very high interest rates and excessive debt. And it's just impossible. We've been able to kind of service the debt because rates were so low. If you get that, all of a sudden, that big spike up in rates over a course of a few years, you're between a rock and a hard place. There's no answer. How do you fund it? You don't. They'll start by issuing more debt to cover the service costs, but that ends very quickly because it just keeps ratcheting up. And then, so in my opinion, again, it's not a precise number, but sometime in the next decade, early in the next decade, I think this all comes to a screeching halt and a crashing end.
Okay, you know what? I realize I'm probably about 10 seconds ahead of you guys, so I want to throw in Paul. Paul, interest rates and inflation. We're going to give it to you. There's like a 10-second or so delay, so we'll give it to you. And James Richter, interest rates and inflation. So you folks were the next two. We'll go ahead and offer up that $10 Amazon gift card to you as well. So please get your emails to Vincent. So again, we're looking at Mrs. Rabbit. Mrs. Rabbit. We're looking at Peggy Moore. We are looking at Rod Panhard, and we're going to add in Paul, interest rates and inflation, and we're going to add in James Richter again. So this will be the first five. Apologize for that. I do believe there is like about a 10-second delay. So when the bell rings for me, I sort of ended it, but I realized for you folks, you're still out there after that bell. So two more. We're going to add you, James Richter and Paul. Congratulations. So with that, David, he is correct in that if you have high interest rates, you are paying more to, of course, more to pay to service an existing debt and to take on new debt. With high inflation, your purchasing power decreases. Okay, I think a lot of us are seeing this now. Purchasing power is decreasing, and if your money is paying less and less of your debt, and money is paying less and less of the necessities that you need, what do? You are getting it on both ends. So what do? How do you service your debt? How do you stretch your dollar out a bit more? So what do you do? If anybody's got solutions, go ahead and type it in the comment section. We're all trying to find solutions to stretch that dollar. Another clip from David Hunter.
The Fed is doing their best to look at stuff, but the problem is they're looking at data that is backward looking to try to determine what's going on forward. And as a result, oftentimes things catch them by surprise. So, the cross currents right now are nothing new. COVID throws in a new wild card. Is Omicron, the less virulent form, going to normalize things, or is Omicron going to shut things down? They're not able to answer that question. You got to just kind of keep watching things as they go along. You've got supply chain that's still an issue. How much of inflation is transitory? How much has legs? The one thing that I kind of expecting from my time back in the early 80s is that once inflation breaks out, it just doesn't get put back in the bottle very easily. So, I just think that's the more likely scenario, is that as we move through the first quarter, inflation's only going to become a bigger problem and keep the Fed moving towards tightening.
Okay, so the Fed, David Hunter, the Fed has got it backwards. Inflation is not something you can just put back in a bottle. That is correct. And you might even remember how we've said here that if the Fed could not get inflation that they were trying to get for over a decade, once they get it, what makes anyone think that they can control it? They tried so hard to get it, according to them, and now it's here, and we are seeing that it is, you know, sort of starting to run maybe a little bit out of control for the Fed's liking. So they will attempt to tighten, though. What's your opinion on what'll happen when they do start to tighten? A lot of opinions are out there. Pablo Pina, take more fiat to buy the same items. Absolutely. I mean, this is where we are right now. We're going to need to spend more to get the same amount of things, and it's a lot of people are worried, can lead to inflation or even hyperinflation. Some people, think eventually it'll end up being a stagflation type of environment. Both are really not good to be in. So, really at this point, what do you what do you do? What do you do? Here's another clip from David Hunter.
I think in the first half of the year, you could see gold up to 2,500. I think you can see silver at 50. They have the ability, once they get going here, to really have a big long run. In the bust, they'll probably have a good size pullback, a good size correction. But then beyond the bust, in that 2023 to 2030 timeframe, I think the sky's the limit. We're early in a bull market that had a great run from 2001 to 2011, that decade was great. Gold went from 250 to 1900. This is the next big leg after that leg that can take you from ultimately 1650 at the low where it was this year all the way up to who knows, maybe 20,000.
All right. First half of the year, this year, 2022, David is looking at gold at 2,500. He's looking at silver to be around $50. What are your thoughts on this? Do you want to see gold at 2,500? Do you want to see silver at 50? Maybe some do, maybe some don't. But the thing is, if we are somewhere at those numbers and silver to gold, the silver to gold ratio would then be at 50 if we looked at those numbers. If it's at 50, what do you do? What are you going to do at 50? Do you flip your silver into gold? Or if you have been playing the ratio, start accumulating gold that way? Or do you kind of maybe slow down on the silver and start just buying gold, buying more gold with a ratio that starts to ease up at 50 to 1 or possibly even below? And there are a lot of scenarios what people may choose to do. Me personally, I'm going to start flipping some of that silver to gold. And if I'm buying, I'm going to be buying more gold at that point. Of course, because I've been playing the ratio like a lot of you out there, silver extremely undervalued compared to gold right now. A lot of scenarios out there, but what are you going to do? What are you guys going to do if we see that $2,500 gold and $50 silver? Now, I know it depends on the environment, how things are out there, but numbers wise, if it's just those numbers and nothing else, what are you going to do? You're going to start buying some gold, or are you going to start turning your silver to gold, playing the ratio still? Curious to know what you're going to do, what you're going to be up to. So be looking for your comments there. We also had David Morgan. David's been doing an interesting series on cryptocurrency or crypto conspiracies. I forget one of those titles. Very interesting. I do hope you folks have a chance to take a look at it. I think now he's starting one on uranium as well with John Perez still. But if you can, head on over to his Morgan Report YouTube channel and watch that series on crypto conspiracies. It's pretty good stuff. Makes you think. Anyway, here's one clip from that David Morgan interview.
A lot of the money that's gone into crypto probably would have gone into precious metals. I mean, in a currency crisis, it's normal for people to look for alternatives. And in the past, the only alternatives were really two. One was precious metals, and the other one was to make your own currency privately for your community. If you follow this stuff, and I do, you had the Ithaca dollars, for example, and there were, wooden nickels in the past, this type of thing, where the community just said, look, we'll write our own script. And as long as everybody agrees to it, money can be a contract. Again, there's agreement on both sides. I mean, that's how the tally stick system worked, basically. But they seek away from the failing fiat system that's controlled by government, or really the bankers that own it, that's controlled through the government. In other words, the bankers are in control and the governments are the enforcement team that goes through and makes sure that you do what the bankers want you to do.
Okay, we'll comment on that shortly. Let's see. Pablo Pina, inflation is just getting started too. I heard. Yeah, it's a good comment. Where are we at this inflation point in time? Is it still just getting started? Is it starting to plateau a bit? But maybe take a little bit of time to come down with the Fed's actions. And with the Fed's actions, are there going to be more unintended consequences, or maybe intended outcomes that they're looking to achieve? So, it is interesting with what's going to happen, but the main point here is find that store of wealth. Definitely find that store of wealth for sure. Let's see what else is out here. Okay, Carrie Ellen. I want to see gold back at 250 and silver at 10. Back up the truck and take out a second mortgage on the house. Hey, nobody here is going to blame you for saying you want lower prices, because I think everyone here would like to add quite a bit more to the stacks that we do have. So with what David Morgan said, in a currency crisis, it's normal for people to look for an alternative currency. And David spoke of a local currency, Ithaca dollar. I know if you listen to it, there was an error there. I mean, I think our speech to text kind of read it as ethical ethical dollars. And so I wanted to clear that up. And when he said that, I know I've heard it before, but I had to go back and look. What are Ithaca dollars, or should I say Ithaca hours? Because when I went and took a look at this, this is from Mother Earth News. I think this is even a while back. The date here. Let me make this a little bit larger so we can see the text. So okay, the Ithaca hour, a community currency based on barter. Okay, Ithaca hour, community currency based on barter. Tough times, it seems, have been with us for years. Many of us have been hit pretty hard. That's why Paul Glover, a resident of Ithaca, New York, decided to do something about it. And 2 years ago, well, depending on the date of this article, he came up with a supplemental currency called hours. And here's how it works: each hour is equivalent to 1 hour of time, or $10, which is the local county's average hourly wage. Also available are quarter hours, $2.50, half hours, $5, and 2 hours, which are $20. All printed from a small shop in town. You can buy all the goods and services you need, just like you can with the US dollar. You can even use hours to go to the movies or to enjoy some fine dining. And the best news and worst news about Paul's hours is the fact that they are worthless outside of Ithaca. As a result, they circulate within the community, improving the city's economic flow and encouraging participants to put their faith in each other. Put your faith in each other rather than the almighty dollar. As the Ithaca Hour plainly states, in Ithaca we trust. So let me see if there was anything else out here. Um, let's see what gives it its value. The hour is backed by real people, real skills, real tools, and real time and goods. It's a steady base for barter negotiation, and its value increases as the list of traders willing to accept it grows and as the variety of goods and services grows. Every note is a promise to accept hours or represents services goods and services trade or traded. And by June 1st, okay, this is way back, 1993, 2,000 hours had been issued. Some of the most popular stores and services have earned up to 60 hours each. Circulation surges when they spend again, and the largest purchase we know of so far has been an 18-hour carpentry job. So there are other things out there. When currencies get in trouble, people look for alternative currencies. We have people looking for crypto. We have people that look at gold, silver, whatever it may be. Ours, your just you being you. What can you do? You. I don't know if this is the right way to phrase it, but you're a currency also. I mean, you can do things. Okay, you can do things out there. Anyway, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but let's take a look at something else David Morgan had to say. And what do you think about Ithaca hours?
About 2 years ago, I asked the question, what if silver was treated like gold? What if silver was considered a reserve asset like gold is? And if you look at how much gold is held by central banks and bought by central banks and bought by Russia and China, and you guys, Singapore just bought a whole bunch of gold here recently. And some others have come to the fore buying gold. So if silver was treated as a monetary asset, what would that look like? And of course, it would look very interesting because there's not much silver out there. What is out there is held in industry, goes back into landfills, and some of it, of course, is held by institutional and private investors.
Okay, a couple comments that came in. James Richter, I'd play the silver to gold ratio unless I can identify another undervalued asset like silver is now and pivot into that undervalued asset. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. That's a good point. That is a good point. Seymour Rivers, Northampton, Massachusetts, did that several years ago, but it didn't last. Let us know about it. But that I found that pretty interesting, that Ithaca Hour concept. But let us know what you all did in Northampton. Appreciate that if you could, Mr. Ebook winner. Let us know. So David Morgan, what if silver were treated like gold? Some people have said they look to see a 1-to-1 silver to gold ratio. Wouldn't that be something? And some people have said 500 ounces of silver will buy you a house one day. Could be. Why are we buying silver and not gold? Why are we buying silver and not gold? Central banks keep gold in reserves. Our wives, they want gold over silver, or I don't know, maybe diamonds or something else. But between the two, I think every wife is going to choose gold over silver. But for some reason, men seem to like silver more. Anyway, gold is obviously more valued, more loved than silver. So why are we buying silver? Why are you buying silver? What's the reason for you buying silver? I'd like to know that. See how it aligns. Okay. Another comment or clip from David Morgan.
The real way for silver to move is investment demand. And that's what moves it the most and will move it the most. The amount of industrial use has accelerated greatly in the last 20 years. It's gone from 35% of the market share to over 50%. And that is during a time when the mining activity 20 years ago was 550 million ounces a year, and now it's 850 million ounces a year. So think about that. From 35 to say 50, with a very large increase of maybe 200 million ounces more being mined today than was 20 years ago. So it's gone up in percentage terms as the production rate continued to go up. And the projection by Matt is by the end of the decade, the industrial demand alone will be 80% of the silver market.
Okay, investment demand is what will move silver. However, the industrial demand looks to be 80% of the silver market, according to David Morgan. Excuse me. Does this mean silver then slips further from an investor's mind, as it's something that industrial uses more and more, and investors may not really be looking at silver in an investment type of a way? Will it? Or does it mean silver's value will increase as industrial demand increases, and that is going to get the silver investor to jump in and be a bigger, let's say, a higher percentage of market share of those who are buying silver, and push up prices even further? How do you think that one's gonna play out? Do you think investors will start to lose silver as other things look more attractive, whether it's crypto or gold or real estate or whatever else it is? Or do you think when industry demands this metal more, investors are going to figure out, hey, if they need it, then or if the whole world needs it, then maybe this is something I want to get into, as the price may surely go up. So again, let's see your comments out there. What you had to say with this. Um, let's see. Tweety Bird, how you doing? I buy silver because it feels like wealth. That is true. Go back to the very first time you held a 1 ounce silver coin. When you held that coin and you felt the weight, you knew, you knew that this was real money. Okay, go back and think about that time. And even in the shop, I remember putting the putting a silver coin, putting a gold coin in a person's hand, and when they feel the weight of it, they all walk away pretty impressed, and you plant that seed in their head of what money, or even what sound money is. Pablo Pina, yes, it feels like money. Um, let's see. Carrie Ellen Wilder opinion here. Yeah, true. Silver is the essential metal. It has more applications than any other metal in the world. If gold disappeared tomorrow, the world would pretty much go on. If silver disappears, all civilization ends. In today's civilizations, absolutely, silver is so essential in the electronics that we all seem to be locked with and in lockstep with. So that's a great point there. Seymour Rivers, it was the time barter system. Example: 4 hours tutoring for 4 hours cleaning trade. Okay, so still a time bartering system. Did people like it there? I mean, what eventually caused it to kind of disappear? But it's interesting that you actually went through it. Pretty cool. So moving on, I'm still looking at your comments there, but moving on. Gerald Salente's Trends Journal, the most recent one, chock full of nuts. And I tell you, if you don't have his Trends Journal, it's a treat. I mean, it's a weekly treat. The amount of work that goes into each one, 150 plus pages or so, somewhere around their ballpark. The work and info in this, it's amazing, and of course Gerald's color is amazing as well. Four things I looked at: trade deficit, rents on the rise, Asia Pact excludes the U.S., and market trends, which was written by Greg Manarino. Trade deficit, loosening supply lines, and U.S. consumers' unrelenting demand for goods pushed November's trade deficit in merchandise to 99 billion as holiday shopping intensified, especially for cell phones, clothing, and toys, according to the Wall Street Journal. The month's overall deficit in goods and services combined was 80.2 billion. The manufacturers exported less due to kinked shipping lines and shortages of workers and materials, but spending by tourists increased as the bug restrictions loosened. The trade deficit will stay higher in December and January due to the backlog of ships waiting at U.S. ports and headwinds to tourism from the OBUG. Economists, according to an economist, Bill Adams at PNC Financial Services. And rents on the rise. We talked about this before. The rents shot up almost 20% last year and will shoot up. Should be an additional 7% in 2022, according to Realtor.com. Nationally, apartment occupancy was 97.1%. Apartment occupancy 97.1% in December, continuing a relentless demand for flats that has enabled landlords to raise rents dramatically over the last year. After flirting with insolvency during the bug war, landlords will see an average boost of 13.5% in operating income this year. And this was according to Green Street according to Green Street forecast, beating gains by lodging, office, and retail properties. With home prices at record highs, we have reported in articles such as Home Sales Rush, which was back in November, that fewer people, especially millennials and younger buyers of the age at which families traditionally buy their first homes, can qualify for a mortgage, put down 20% or more of the purchase price that many lenders demand, or compete in bidding wars or with all cash buyers. We talked about this before, the all cash buyers. Investors, especially private equity firms, have seen rising rents as a new profit center. And we've seen this where they buy up homes, even zip codes, investing billions to buy single family homes in the most competitive real estate markets. The Nareit Equity Apartments Index, which is tied to the performance of companies that own apartments, gained about 60% last year, more than double the S&P's Standard and Poor's 500 record, which some companies in the index, or which with some companies in the index, skyrocketing by as much as 80%, according to the Wall Street Journal. Asia Pact excludes the U.S. Back in 2017, U.S. With then President Donald Trump withdrew from a trade agreement, the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Transpac, or the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP, which the U.S. had led in order to counter the influence of China in the region. China had been excluded from the agreement. It had been opposed by many lawmakers, and the current U.S. administration under uh, President Joe Biden says it has no plans to rejoin it. But there is a new Asia Pacific Trade Agreement, this time including China, but excluding the U.S. It's called the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, and it will eventually eliminate more than 90% of the tariffs between the signatory nations, of whom China and U.S. allies, Japan and Australia, have already signed, but no U.S. Market trends. This is written by Gregory Manarino. Everything you are seeing now with regard to the global economy and the markets is deliberate, according to Greg Manarino. Public enemy number one, the Federal Reserve, has allowed inflation to surge way beyond their 2% target. And today, the current rate of inflation, when this was written, their number sits at 6.8. I think it's at 7 or even over 7 now. But now the Fed is saying that now they are ready to do something about surging inflation. How about no? The Fed is lying. Food and energy prices will continue to balloon with no sign of relief in sight. In fact, we can all expect inflation, or should I say the absolute strength of the dollar, to crater faster. Uncertainty is taking hold on the world equity markets, and over the past week, we have seen stock markets fall under pressure. And here in the U.S., the debt market is pricing in a Fed rate hike sometime soon, which, in my opinion, will happen. So now people are in agreement the Fed's actually going to do this. They've said they will. Now, the big secret that you are not supposed to know is this: whatever the Fed does regarding hiking rates, expect it to be minimal to an extreme. Understand the Federal Reserve is not done fulfilling its goal, which is to become not just the lender and buyer of last resort, but to own it all. In order for the Fed to finish up its end game, along with the world central banks, much more debt has to be issued. So that'll wrap up the guest revisit portion along with Gerald's Trends Journal, and we're going to be moving over to our website now. Let me take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see. Uh, okay, sorry guys, I just want to check in at this. Vincent chiming in. Carrie Ellen Wilder. I don't think we'll see $10 silver. Yeah, I don't think so too. It would be nice though. I mean, I know you're just throwing out a wish there, but 18 is quite likely. Um, a lot of these analysts they've said that there is possibility that 18 would be like super support level. So that would be a level that you know if silver does go down, it will go down to that level. But looking at everything, they would see 18 as the ultimate support level. So there is a chance, but there's also a chance it could go to 50. It's just keep your head on a swivel, take a look at the news, try to make sense of things, and then remember nothing makes sense. I don't know how else to put it, but try to make sense of things as best you can. Moving over to our website, silverbullion.com.sg, some featured products here: 10-ounce silver bars, silver maples, of course, gold kangaroos. Hey, prices aren't too bad. Let me go back. Let me go back to this. Uh, Various years gold kangaroos, 40 per ounce over spot. Not bad. 3 per ounce. Not too bad. So, okay. So there are some things there. Yes, this is a new shop that opened up in Millennial Walk. Hey, I just want to say for you guys over in Singapore, if for whatever reason, you can't visit a mall, if you can't go into a mall, or maybe if you're trying to stay at home, as much as possible, I think we are going to have delivery services. So go ahead and contact us at sales@silverbullion.com.sg and ask us about them. So, I think it's pretty much a done deal. So go ahead and ask us about those delivery services. So again, featured products, we got some maples out there, eagles out there as well, gold maples, kilobars. I tell you, it's a nice thing to look at. Very nice thing to look at. 1,000-ounce LBMA bars. Let's see what else is out there. And then, yeah, 100-ounce bars pretty popular as well. Got some platinum there. And thing is, this one here, the LBMA bar, I go through this week in and week out because if you are looking at to be able to buy at the lowest premiums possible, chances are it's going to be these LBMA type bars. We do have 331 in the vault ready for you to buy. Uh, you can get them from the shop as well. We just need to transfer some over in from our inventory to the shop. But this one here, when you buy and store in the vault, it is yours. You absolutely do own it, allocated, segregated, separated, all of these things. It is yours. You own it. Okay, you absolutely own it. And to do this, sign up as a Silver Bullion user to take advantage of the jurisdiction of Singapore, a friendly jurisdiction. Go ahead and create that account. It is free, and decide if you want a personal account, a joint, a trust, maybe a joint account with a minor, a business account, or if you want a precious metals IRA. And again, I'll just use this as an example. This is the easiest account to have. You just need a form of ID, typically a passport. Fill out the application, and we'll take it from there. Very simple information. And references, do let them know that we're the last here. I don't know why. Do let them know that you've heard about us from SBTV. Again, you own whatever you buy, and you're not dealing with a third party vault. You're dealing with us, and trust me, we take care of your things. I've been in that vault numerous times. And tick this here. I want to receive customer notifications via encrypted secure notification. This helps keep your emails a bit more secure from algos or whatever else is out there. It's just the email communication between you and us. You'll just have an email saying you have a notification from us. Nothing is put in the body of that email. So again, depending on what you need, whether it's a personal account, a joint account, a trust account, joint account with the minor, business account, or a retirement account. If you know what's going on out there, you're looking at to find some sort of wealth protection. You're looking to understand what is it about silver, what is it about gold. If you're looking to understand why should I store, I mean, some people say if you don't hold it, you don't own it. I understand that. I will never argue that. And other people understand that it may be best in their situation to hold some things off. Sure. So, what is it about Singapore, the jurisdiction? Send us an email. We'll talk to you about it, and we'll find what you are looking for, and do the best we can to bring some safety, some wealth protection to you. Moving on to Twitter, few things that I had bookmarked. David Morgan, person is telling his mom, "Hey mom, I just bought some silver." His mom says, "Okay, but make sure that you're saving money." And there we have that famous meme there. The serious report, Iran and Nicaragua are in discussion about forming a union of countries to circumvent U.S. sanctions. Huge development in the making. We're going to try and keep track of this as the world continues to embrace the dollarization. Again, this is absolutely what is going on. It's another reason why you need to find that store of wealth, things like gold and silver. I've said for quite a while now, the Fed can taper all they want to try and control inflation. They can raise interest rates to try and control it. However, they cannot control the supply side of inflation. This is out of their control. Okay, so no matter what they do, this is absolutely out of the Fed's control. If the supply side doesn't increase, you can bring down the money supply all you want. But if you had $10 chasing after one thing, okay. If you have $5 chasing after one thing, okay. I mean, it's still not really going to bring the price down all that much. Nomi Prince, it's wild that members of Congress have appeared to use their inside knowledge. Not appeared, they have. Their knowledge for financial gains while we are in the middle of a pandemic where working class people are just struggling to get by. And there's enough reports to see how members of Congress have made a lot of money. I think Pelosi was also what the best investor of the year or something like that. I mean, you know, you can move around it as much as you want, but they know. Okay, they absolutely know. They're in lockstep with the Fed. We even had Powell investing in the markets, making money, and he's setting policy out there. So here we have elitism separating from common people. Ron Paul, interesting. He was restricted by Facebook again for sharing false information. What's interesting about this was he had interviewed someone from Pfizer, the CEO, in fact, and in his own words on what he felt about their own product. And again, this was in his own words. And then there was the FC that came out. The FC here came out, and he faced some restrictions. So you can you can create a product, say everything you know about your product, and if it doesn't fall in line, you're going to face some consequences. That's where we are in the world. That is where we are in the world. David Morgan, are you ready for what is planned? A complete overhaul of the U.S. financial system underway, and I think we are seeing this. I'll just try and run through a few key points. We make this a bit larger. Okay, so a complete overhaul. This is 2 days ago. A complete overhaul of the U.S. financial system. The story is about money and an alarming paper by Dominique Sali Amarova. This was actually a while back. What's the date on this thing? But anyway, the story is still the same. For a while, everyone's been talking about the Great Reset and the plan to use the happy language of public good and sustainable development to push through an all encompassing power grab by the largest institutional investors and the richest people of the world. The end result of the power grab would be a fully mechanized society where the citizens bodies and minds are invaded by tech, managed by AI, and ultimately serve the financial and emotional interests of the self appointed mad priests of the new normal. And yes, they are mad. It's obviously an opinion piece here. So let me scroll down a bit and get the gist of it. Um, okay, the complete overhaul of the U.S. financial system, it's a topic in the finance world in the light of this attempted reform. The attempted reform has been explored by a number of great researchers and investigative journalists who have spoken and written about it very eloquently over the years. For example, they had the great conversation between Whitney Webb and John Titus called "The Bug" and Central Bank Digital Slavery. Both of them they have done pioneering research on the topic. Um, let's see. And at the core of this was, of course, the Great Reset. And then we had Catherine Austin Fitz. She was interviewed, and she pointed out that the aggressively promoted passports and they are connected to attempting to restructure the financial system. And she had said if they get the passports, I would argue as a practical matter, we lose our ability to stop the CBDCs. So I'm not going to go into this, but a lot of people are saying that things are going to unfold into the next, into the next, into the next. So it's just something to keep an eye on. I mean, I think it whatever your position, um, not so important. What's more important is that we remain open to what's going on and see things for, as Gerald Cisalette would say, what they are and not for what we want them to be. This one here, we're going to touch on this, but Visa is joining up. They're going to they're going to offer their services for central bank digital currencies. They're going to test it. They're going to test central bank digital currencies with cards and wallets. And this one here from the IMF, I just want to run through this quick. Uh, Again, because we do talk about nickel and the importance of it. Metal demand, metals demand from energy transition may top current global supply. And what's stated here is the clean energy transition needed to avoid the worst effects of climate change could unleash unprecedented metals demand in the coming decades, requiring as much as 3 billion tons. A typical electric vehicle battery pack, for example, needs around 8 kilograms of lithium, 35 kilograms of nickel. That's a lot. 35 kilograms of nickel, 20 kilograms of manganese, 14 kilograms of cobalt, um, and substantial amounts of copper for green power. Solar panels, and we know solar panels, they use silver as well. Use large quantities of copper, silicon, silver, there you go, and zinc, while wind turbines require iron ore, copper, and aluminum. They needed ramp up in mining investment and operations could be challenging. So I'll just read this quick here. Metal prices have seen large increases as economies reopen, highlighting a critical need to analyze what could constrain the production and delay supply responses. Specifically, we assess whether there are enough mineral and metal deposits to satisfy for low carbon technologies and how to best address it. Supply constraints. Let's see here. Here we go. Here, the first question is how far current metal production is stretched and whether existing reserves can provide for the energy transition. Given the projected increase in metals consumption through 2050 under a net zero scenario, current production rates of graphite, cobalt, vanadium, and nickel appear inadequate. Okay, they appear inadequate, showing a more than two-thirds gap versus the demand. Okay, so I'll stop that one there. Is just to say that the demand for nickel and nickel, which is used in electric vehicle batteries, is going to be pretty great. And we said this before: if the Fed couldn't take the punch bowl away from Wall Street, what makes them think they can take it away from Main Street? There's a petition out there asking for $2,000 monthly stimulus checks, and so far it's 3 million plus signatures. Basic universal income, helicopter money, call it what you want, but people are going to say they want a monthly stimulus check of at least 2,000. So we're going to have to see how this pans out as well. And this is what brought me to the main topic. Franklin Knoll, just a reminder that they were going to talk about, have a discussion about CBDCs and banknotes. And that's what I went and looked at. So let me say, that'll that'll wrap it up for Twitter. But that's what I'm going to look at, and that in fact is going to be the main topic of the day, CBDCs. And I did watch their discussion at length fully, and I came across a couple articles as well last week about CBDCs, or central bank digital currencies, and thought it may be time to talk about this collectively with your input. Before I get into that, let me take a look at the comments here. Um, let's see. Okay, Vincent, thank you for handling some of the comments there. Um, okay, Rob, I tell you what, Rob, that's a great question. Why can't you just buy and stack silver blanks? With just the weight stamped into them. Why do we have to pay a massive premium to have an animal or whatever stamped onto it? You know, I there are people out there, they actually go ahead and do that. They are making their own silver. Nothing's stopping you. There's information out there to do it. Um, I've often thought about doing it as well at a few points in my life. So nothing's stopping you really. I mean, go ahead and give it a go. You know, that's a good point there. Um, Hollow points for the vampires. Okay. 495. I have gotten silver shot for $1.25 over spot. I think silver shot, I think it may actually be the cheapest way to obtain silver. The problem with the silver shot is every granule, every little bead, every little granule, you've got to be able to prove that it is 999. So the work of it is pretty incredible. Maybe get it proven. Maybe bottle the thing up if you can, where everyone is 999, whatever it is. Maybe it weighs an ounce total, whatever it is, and maybe keep it sealed, and maybe that'll be something people may consider. I mean, maybe a lot of maybes out there. Let's see, Patrick Bateman, yes, Ron Paul, let's see more. Okay, so all right, let's move on to this main topic, because this is what I one of the first things that I had seen with CBDCs, where China is pushing for broader use of its digital currency. And where'd my mouse go? There it is. Okay, so they're pushing for broader use of its digital currency. Few key points. China is ramping up efforts to roll out the digital yuan to the broader population as the country's technology giants like Alibaba and Tencent jump on board. Big tech mixing with government. We know what that is. But will Chinese citizens who already use two dominant mobile payment systems run by these same tech firms begin paying with the digital yuan? One analyst questioned what incentives there are for Chinese citizens to use the digital yuan over the existing dominant systems of mobile payments. So China is ramping up its efforts to roll out the digital yuan. Alibaba and Tencent are jumping on board, but there are challenges ahead, and one particular question stands out. Will the citizens who already use the two dominant mobile payment systems run by these big tech firms begin paying with the digital yuan? So the People's Bank of China, PBOC, the country's central bank, which has been working on its sovereign digital currency since 2014, also known as the ECNY, is designed to replace the cash and coins already in circulation. Okay, it's designed to replace cash and coin. This is important. It's not a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, in part because it's controlled and issued by the central bank. Bitcoin is decentralized and it's not backed up by any central bank or a single administrator. But their digital yuan is a form of central bank digital currency, a CBDC, which many other central banks around the world are also working on, though the Chinese central bank is way ahead of its global peers. And this is why we look to see what's going on in China. They already mentioned it's designed to replace cash and coins. Will other central banks do the same? A lot of people think yes. Now, to date, the PBOC has been piloting the digital, or what they've done is they've used digital currency lotteries, and tens of millions of the digital yuan have been handed out to citizens in a handful of cities in China. And they've been trying to get them to use it. But this is the important part. tech giants on board. So when they did launch the app to allow users in 10 areas, including major cities, Shanghai and Beijing, to sign up and use the digital currency, the two dominant players in the system, again, Tencent's WeChat Pay and Alipay, which is run by Alibaba affiliate and group, they announced that its WeChat messaging app would support the digital yuan, and WeChat has over a billion users and is integral to daily life in China. And Alipay is also a partner for the digital yuan. So these big tech is joining up, is joining up with governments. Governments need big tech to govern, to rule, to get people to fall in. We're seeing how governments, they absolutely need it now. And governments, they are basically going to bed with corporates going to bed with government. And what do we call this? Is this fascism, perhaps? But the thing is, when we hear this Chinese style of governance and how it needs big tech's help, social media's help, I am going to submit this to you.
I make a special appeal to social media companies and media outlets. Please deal with the misinformation and disinformation that's on your shows. It has to stop.
Okay, so let's keep in mind this is a global thing. Leaders across the world are thinking with one mind. They're thinking with one mind. It's a global thing all across the world. You are seeing governments get in bed with big tech, and big tech is, they are naturally going to have a say. You know, they are going to have a say. They are going to have some sort of rule as well when they all get into bed together. Keep an eye on this. And then we had something I found from Glenn Beck. I think it may be a little older, but it still falls in line with what we're seeing about central bank digital currencies, about inflation and things like that. So I want to play this clip.
The way to control inflation is to be able to control the companies, which is part of the Great Reset, being able to have a golden share on the boards of all of these companies, where the government can override the chairperson and the shareholders and say, our golden share says you're not going to make that car, or you're going to make this car, and you're going to make twice the amount you say. They not only control the companies, but they have to control how people spend their money. And that's where digital currency is an absolute must.
Yes, that's exactly right. There's no real way to micromanage an economy if there's any freedom at all in that marketplace. There's no way to micromanage it without a digital currency. You need to have a digital currency to micromanage it. And if you've been following the modern monetary theory movement, which far left-wing groups have been involved with now for many, many years, it's very clear that their only solution to the question of, well, how can we just print endless amounts of money without causing runaway inflation is we're going to build a superstructure that allows the government to micromanage every aspect of the economy through price controls and other things. And then that way, if energy prices are driving inflation and energy prices are getting too high, we can just turn the little dial in our command center in Washington, D.C. or in Davos or wherever, and we can lower the price of energy, or we can take money out of the economy seemingly overnight. Well, how do you do that kind of stuff without having a digital currency? Makes all of that much easier to do, much more possible, in a way that I think you could theoretically control the economy and maybe even help limit inflation to some extent. But the expense of that is going to be you're going to have absolutely no economic freedom at all.
Okay, so a few points are actually pretty hard to argue there. But this is the concern. Our loss of economic freedom, where governments work with big tech to rule over what we say, how we think, and what we spend. And again, why does this matter to gold and silver? It matters because you are going to see a change in currency, valuations of currency. How do you value currencies? What is more important in a currency, and all of these things. So as you go through this up and down oscillation of what a currency is, you're going to need some stability in there, and that's why it matters to gold and silver. That's why it matters absolutely to have some gold and silver without question. Here, they're not going to run or be smooth. You are going to need that store of wealth. Um, thing is, you know, you got to remember the quote from one of the Rothschilds and its variants that went something like this. I know there are a lot of different ways that he said it, but in 1815, Rothschild made this famous statement: "I care not what puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule the empire on which the sun never sets. The man who controls the British money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the British money supply." So this is something we have to keep in mind and not forget. So without question, we need to understand what the plan is for CBDCs and what the think tank are thinking. So what I did was I came across that recent chit chat, as I told you about that discussion where we had people involved that do have input or influence in central bank digital currencies. And we hear all kinds of things about CBDCs, but rarely do we hear what the people who are behind it, who have influence, who are developing it, have to say. Okay, we rarely hear this. So I want to play a few clips and share with you what some of the minds behind the CBDCs are thinking.
So Frank, maybe let's stick with you to get started here. You come from this.
Okay, let me pause it here. We have James Naron from the Federal Reserve of Philadelphia. We have Sean and Jamil, a CBDC think tank. The Fed takes what these guys say very seriously. Bottom right, we have Franklin Knoll. He's been a consultant for the Fed, for the Treasury. He knows he's an asset, not asset as in like a spy kind of asset working for the Fed, but his input is very very valuable. So these are some of the gentlemen that are here. They do have input. They do have influence. So let me go ahead and play this.
Traditional currency banknote issuance background. Many of our audience listening today come from a very similar background. So, as we start thinking about this, why should we care? What problem are we trying to solve from your perspective?
Well, for the banknote world, you really need to start thinking about CBDCs because they're on their way. They're not going to go away. It's basically the future. And a lot of what's driving this is central banks need to meet the challenge of crypto. If you read any of the papers that are coming out, crypto is a serious threat to central bank monopoly. Plus, CBDC will allow central banks to fulfill their mission. One, supplying a medium of exchange, cash or a digital form. And also, it'll give them new tools and able to implement monetary policy. And with programmable money, they'll be able to do all kinds of neat policy things. And they'll also be able to remunerate CBDCs and maybe if they have to break the zero lower bound. So even though cash is going to be around for a while, its death has, been predicted many times. Banknote companies and central banks need to get very serious and very knowledgeable about CBDCs.
Oh, okay, excuse me. So a few things he said. Banknotes need to start thinking about CBDCs. Banknotes meaning our current paper money. We got to start thinking about central bank digital currencies. Central banks need to meet the challenge of crypto. Interesting point there. Crypto is a serious threat to central bank monopoly. That's again another interesting point. CBDCs will allow central banks to fulfill their mission. Probably monetary policies he's talking about there by having the tools to implement monetary policy. Programmable money. That's a pretty interesting point as well. I mean, what are they going to put expiration dates on it? Where if you don't spend your money by this time, then then you lose it. I mean, that's one way to control buying and selling, spending and saving. I don't know exactly what programmable money is, and cash may be around for a while, but its death has been predicted many times. I think the Fed has come out and said that they don't intend to eliminate cash and coin, but why else would you do this? I mean, I think the intention is there that this will one day happen. Moving on.
Zeke, what about from your perspective? What should we be looking at? What problem are we trying to solve? Why should we care about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is different depending on, where you're sitting. I think all of us are sitting, at least on this call in the United States. And I get that question a lot, like, why should I care? Because a lot of us, probably most of us have access to bank accounts. We have easy ways in which to send money, back and forth to people. And so the reason why we should care might be different in the US than in other parts of the world, right? And I think that right now, at least the focus, especially in a lot of the people that I talk to in the crypto community, is really trying to solve the issues that a lot of people who are unbanked or underbanked around the world are having, and trying to bring some of those same financial services, some of those same tools to them that, banks, because of their overhead, it doesn't really make sense for them to worry about, sort of micro lending, and, that might be just like a couple of dollars, or micro insurance of crops for like $5 or something. And so, but with crypto and with the digital currency technology, those are problems that we can work to solve. As it relates to the U.S., I mean, I think clearly, as Frank mentioned, we're all going digital. Most of us use our phones, and so I think for central banks, we really need to start thinking about meeting people where they are here. At some point, we're all going to just be using our phones and be using digital money. And so the central bank certainly needs to start to think about how they interact with that. But I think at least in the first iteration, it's really about solving those issues for the people who, aren't really part of the traditional financial system. Because quite frankly, the business model of the traditional financial system really isn't designed to kind of meet them. And so I think those are the problems, at least those are the problems that we're working on right now.
Okay, so CBDCs look to solve issues for the unbanked or underbanked. And I've used this word before, banked in. We're all going digital. We need to meet people where they are digital. At some point, we will all be using our phone to transact. I think a lot of us are doing it already. Now, remember, I brought up the point of how in this whole financial reset game, it's really not a game. The number one goal is to get you digitalized or digitized, whichever is the right term here, in order to get you banked in. And I'm going to roll back the clock a little bit. In a previous live stream, I showed you how the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, back in 2010, hired a gentleman by the name of Ignacio Moss to lead a project to build a bridge between crypto and fiat. This isn't conspiracy stuff. This is documented already. Now, keep in mind that back in 2010, Bitcoin and crypto were still in diapers. They were still unknowns. They were still in diapers. And so you got to kind of wonder, how did Gates or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation know that there would need to be a bridge back then when crypto and Bitcoin were in diapers? How did they know there would need to be a bridge to go between crypto and fiat? How did he know to hire a guy that specializes in getting people banked in? This is Ignacio Mas. A lot of his work is to get people banked in. And he's actually a good guy. He's trying to help. He's trying to help people. And this comes down to, banked in comes down to participation. Okay. Same with let's say your bug passport and bug status allows you to do certain things or maybe not do certain things to participate in society. And this is a fact, nothing new here. We all know it. We all see it. We can participate in some things. Maybe we can't participate in other things. Who knows? But being banked in means you're also going to be digitized or digitalized. And it looks to be with the intent to allow you to participate as well in the economy. Amazing how this bug is politicized and allowing or not allowing people to participate in society and then have that understanding of what it takes to participate in society and then roll it over into allowing you to perhaps participate or not participate further socially and then economically, because we are seeing this economically. I know some of you guys out there, you can't go to work, you've lost your job, whatever it is. So it is economic participation. And we're going to see, our CBDC is going to be something that defines whether you can participate economically. Anyway, let's move on.
Frank, how about you? What do you think? What kind of features, what might we be thinking about? What would a good, if not perfect, central bank digital currency look like?
Well, for me, I think a CBDC should be as cash-like as possible, and that means it allows for private transactions, just like cash does these days. It works on a durable, user-friendly platform, again, as banknotes basically do, and it should be usable everywhere and all the time, including offline. And that's why I usually uh, am looking forward to some kind of connected banknote component to a CBDC, kind of like Jamil talked about, a banknote that can interact with the CBDC or serve as a platform for it. And given that, banknote is a very traditional, very well-known technology, it should be used, I think, as much as possible in the CBDC world, if only to allow for a smooth transition from one platform to another, and to allow people who are not crypto savvy to be able to interact with a CBDC.
Okay, so it should be as cash-like as possible. That that's their intent. That's their suggestion. That's how they would like to influence CBDC as cash-like as possible. Allow for private transactions, meaning with the cash aspect, we can transact, we can buy, we can spend whatever it is, and we're still pretty much anonymous. If we use cash, you have privacy. You absolutely have privacy when you use cash. So he's looking for some type of privacy still. Okay, and or yeah, private transactions where there are some privacy. A user friendly platform. I saw a comment about trying to get rid of old people because we don't know how to how to use our mobile phones or whatever it is. Trying to make it user friendly, have a user friendly platform, usable everywhere and all the time, including offline. That's important. I mean, um, if you're offline, if you have these smart nodes that have some type of a chip, uh, operates by radio frequencies or whatever it is, you can still transact and use the dollars like you normally do. If it's a smart banknote in some type of paper form, you can still go ahead and use it. And then when the lights come back on, then it will tally up everything and update the ledger on where things are, or maybe how it was spent, or whatever it is. Somebody has different possession of it now, so I'm not sure how they intend to do that, so I'm going to stop talking about it and allow ease of use for the non-savvy crypto population. So again, Franklin standing up for us older guys there. What else did they have to say?
Jamil, how about you? Any surprises for you? Any sort of interesting, facts that you've discovered along the way?
Well, I think there's surprises every day in the crypto space. Like who would have thought somebody's going to pay $70 million for a JPEG? I think that was a little bit of a surprise. And I think what's happening right now in the space, and I spend a lot of time in the crypto world as well as the CBC world, and my hope is that the two find a happy middle ground. But there's an enormous amount of momentum that suddenly has accelerated, and maybe that's because of COVID and all these other things. And that was a real surprise, that there is this larger audience that's coming into the space. And that is really putting a little bit of fire, under the feet of a lot of central banks to really engage and understand what this is. And so the pace of all of this is a great surprise. I think that's a general theme. I think everybody would agree that where we are today, we would probably not think of being here 2 years ago. Right? So this is enormous growth in the space. There's more and more people coming in, adopting all kinds of tokenization of different types of assets, and that's really occurring very, very rapidly. And also, I think there's questions around what does it mean? What is a unit of value? What does value mean? What is a unit of value? And so we are going back to questioning some very fundamental, almost philosophical questions, topics. And I think that's very, very interesting. And it is a surprise in the sense that a lot more people are engaging in the conversation. It's a more global conversation. And I'm really looking forward to a lot more surprises this year and the coming years.
Okay, 70 million for a JPEG. 70 billion for a JPEG. And Jamil says we need to find a middle ground between crypto and the real world. Need to find middle ground. The pace of change is quick, is what he said. Tokenization of assets is also what he said. I know a lot of you folks out there, you are seeing this already. A lot of gold backed tokens, cash gold backed token. That's my favorite. Disclaimer: I do have a micro share in it because I know the gold is truly there, and it's easily you can easily see that on the website there. But tokenization of apps assets, and what does value mean? What does value mean? What is a unit of value? And that kind of takes me back to that whole Ithaca hour deal. There could be nothing more than individually, or nothing more individually important to value your worth in time, and then have that represented as a unit of value. Hugely important. Now, time is the same for everyone. 1 hour is 1 hour wherever you are in the world. Time is the same for everyone. The difference is, what did you do? What did you do in that time, and who valued what you did in that time? Okay, so what did you do, and who valued what you did in that time? That's important, and that part, how do you quantify that? I mean, something you do for Tom might be hugely important, and something you do but it may not have been that important for Jerry, So I don't know why I said Tom and Jerry, but anyway, you guys know what I mean. So I mean, who values it, right? That's another question. Vincent chiming in. This is the end game of the money printing experiment. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I didn't mean to talk that much about the bug in passports earlier, but it all boils down to digitalization. It boils down to that. And that's why I said, these things, they will roll over into something else. Um, let's see, Tweety Bird. Digital currency is a new way to steal your wealth. Imagine you go to the grocery store and the clerk tells you that you have no digital currency. True. Or you go there to buy a pack of cigarettes, and the clerk tells you, sorry, you're only allotted one pack every 2 weeks. What do you do then? You got no cash. You can't buy anything. It's just automatic. uh, Mr. Pablo Pina can't buy any cigarettes, or whatever it is. uh, you can't you have 20 gallons of gas or petrol a month. That's it. You use anything more than that, your carbon footprint is getting bigger, so you have to pay more. Uh, that's these things really, when guys say it takes away your freedoms, these are things that people are talking about. So, and it's endless. It literally is endless. Anyway, let's see what else they had to say at this discussion.
in this space. So, Frank, let's stick with you here. Again, a big chunk of our audience today, those viewing, listening, come from a traditional central bank issuance background. Are there things that you wish we either would do or wouldn't do, either as issuers, central bankers, regulators in this space?
Coming from the banknote field, what I see when I look at CBDCs is I want issuers and regulators, and this was mentioned before, I think by Zeke, you have to remember the user. When you're in banknote design, you're focusing on the user experience, user acceptance of the note, and that really needs to start filtering into thinking about CBDCs. And we need to remember there's a lot of non-crypto, non-tech people who will be encountering this. People who are used to banknote technology, they're comfortable with it, they know how it works. And how do we get CBDCs to kind of work in that same familiar, comfortable way? And we need to remember, again, there's a lot of people who are offline. There's internet deserts around the world, including in the US, where people just cannot connect to the internet on a regular or reliable basis. Some people don't have electricity on a reliable basis. And that all needs to be thought about, the offline component of CBDCs. And again, I think that's where banknote technology is perfect way to access CBDCs. So for me, it's always remember the user when you're doing these designs.
Okay. Excuse me. Remember the user. Non-crypto, non-tech people will be encountering CBDCs. Many non-banked and internet deserts. There are many non-banked people. There are many internet deserts. With the non-banked, excuse me, I can go back to a live stream or two where we pointed out places like Bitcoin Beach, where the community is using Bitcoin. I can point out where in other places, really where the poor are, where they may have to ride a bus for 2 hours to go ahead and pay, an electricity bill or whatever it is. This then, by being banked in now, allows them to use their phone to go ahead and pay that electricity bill without having to take a 2 hour one way bus ride, and so this is work that is being done to get people banked in, especially the poor and even the middle class. It's a way to get them banked in. And again, remember this word, banked in. You are going to be hearing more and more of it. But banked in also means digitalized or digitized. It also means that. So again, just be aware and be wary of these things. Also, other points noted throughout this discussion that they had, it should be collateral backed. Okay, so they're looking at CBDCs to be backed by some type of collateral. What that is, don't know. Hopefully, maybe it's gold. It should have interoperability. Remember Windows and Macs before, they didn't talk to each other. If you had Windows, you were kind of messed up. If you had to, transfer it over into a Mac. If you were using a Mac, you were kind of messed up. If you needed to go into Windows, so it has to have interoperability. And here's the thing: I saw some comments. What they had said is you do not need a blockchain to build a CBDC. You don't need it. You do not need a blockchain. And even in the earlier, I showed you that article where China's PBOC is linking up with WeChat Pay and Alibaba. Even they had said, I believe in that article, that it's not using a blockchain. So you can get by using a CBDC and not putting it up on a blockchain. Oh, sorry, let me go back to more points there. Um, yeah, China's the example of that. And don't let vendors tell you what the world should look like. So that was one thing that came up there. Don't tell vendors, don't let the vendors tell you what the world should look like. And this is interesting because they are coming in trying to tell the Fed, don't let vendors tell you what it should look like. In other words, these guys really want it to be about us, to be about you and me. But they're really on our side. And I know I showed you other clips where, there are less than nice things that are thought of when we think of central bank digital currencies. But this think tank, they were they were pretty calm. They were pretty they're for the people, and they were absolutely for the people is what I'm saying. And they're saying don't let vendors tell you what the world should look like. And we already see that with companies like Facebook and their metaverse and things like that, trying to tell us how the world should look like. These guys are saying don't let vendors tell you how the world should look like. Privacy is important, very important. Again, that user experience. And cryptos were created to solve a problem. Why did they come about? Because they saw what happened in 2008 with the financial crisis back then. That's why cryptos came about, to solve a problem, as far as we are told. Easy to use with your mobile phone, but yet they say it's years away, 5 to 10 years away, which then brought me to this article, which I showed you on Twitter, where Visa is testing. They're going to test central bank digital currencies with cards and wallets. The platform is designed to test CBDCs and Visa products. Leading card payments firm in talks with central banks. So Visa has joined its rival MasterCard in offering central banks a way to test retail applications for digital currencies that they may issue. The card payment provider will begin piloting a program this spring with Consensus, I guess, Inc., a blockchain software company, excuse me, after discussions with roughly 30 central banks about goals related to government-backed digital currencies. So here they are talking about blockchain, but again, the think tank says you do not need blockchain. So why why are they going back to talking about blockchain? So here we are, January 13th, 2022. So very recent, uh, very recent, but it's no doubt it's coming, it's coming. So that's going to end the topic of the day. I hope this help us understand a little bit that there are some good guys in this. They see central bank digital currencies one way, and they want to influence it in that way to be for the people, for us. And but I think the reality, I mean, guys, if we're going to be real, almost everything starts off good, and in time they find ways to use it that are not so that are not so good. So already we see Visa here looking at a blockchain. The think tank, the influencers are saying you don't need a blockchain. So already, we'll see how all of this unfolds. So again, that is the topic of the day, and we'll end it there. So I want to see some of your comments with what you've been saying. Um, let's see. Okay, hang on. Let me look at comments here. Sorry, I've kind of been not avoiding, but I haven't been paying attention to the comments here. Um, Peter Frowine, all CBDCs are slavery. God made all men and women free. I will not be a slave. Let's see. James Richter, question. Ask Kazakhstan how that internet thing is working out for them when it shut off. Great point, James. I mean, there are things going on in Kazakhstan for sure. Uh, that's a great point. And I think this is where Franklin Knoll is talking about smart banknotes because these can be used offline. And then when that electricity turns back on, the ledgers will update. But in the meantime, people can still transact because if we have that note, we can still transact with people. Electricity comes on, ledgers are updated. So he's in a smart banknote. He's in a smart banknote place, but he also is in a crypto place. So Franklin is a very good bridge, very knowledgeable guy, incredible guy. We've had him on once. I think we may look to get him on again. Other comments here. Um, 49 fine. Cash is full of deadly germs. You know what? You're right. So let's bring back silver coins, which can kill the bacteria and whatnot. So, okay, bring back silver coins. There you go. What else is out here? I did see a comment on when we talked about gold back tokens. I did see a comment about Pax Gold. Um, the thing with that is, for me, when it comes to gold back tokens, first and foremost, you have to show me the gold. I have to know every serial number that you're attaching your token to. And until that's the first step. If any gold back token cannot show me that first part, I have a hard time with it. I firstly need to know that if you're saying you're a token, gold back token, I want to see every single bar that you have in inventory. And that's hugely important for me. The other thing I think with Pax redemption is 400 ounces of gold. If you want to take the physical bar, I believe it's 400 ounces. It's quite a lot of money to have 400 ounces of gold. So, it's there's probably no perfect gold back token, but 400 ounces of gold. I mean, how many of you, how many of you out there can have the money to redeem 400 ounces of gold? I mean, you can buy a 400-ounce LBMA bar. Not many people out there can. And I guess I will. I'll just show you guys this real quick. Hang on, let me type this in here. Okay, so sorry guys, I just because this is what I'm talking about here. Um, Hang on. Sorry, but this is cash gold. And what I'm talking about is when you look at gold backing, because everybody seems to say that they're a gold backed token. But what I want to see is this: I want to see where it's stored, in this case, here in Singapore, in Switzerland, in Dallas, in the US. I want to see where it's stored, and I want to see what you have. So here, a 1 kg Heraeus bar. I'm giving you the serial number, everything. I'm showing you how it was scanned and put in by a vault, a third party to cache. An independent vault went and scanned this and verified that it's real and put it up on the blockchain, ERC20. It's there for all the public to see. You notice I didn't log in or anything. Anyone can just come here and see that there is absolutely gold backing this token. So again, for me, uh, the first thing, like I say, is to know. I have to see that the gold is there. If you're telling me it's a gold back token, show me every bar you got, every serial number that you have. So again, anyway, moving on to comment section here. Um, CBDCs are coming. The hope is to return to sound money, and the hope is that it'll be backed by gold. I hope it is backed by gold, and the hope is that freedoms, economic freedoms, are not lost. It's obvious today's currency will have to be revalued for another currency to come. It should be obvious to all of us by now. And as I said, this revaluation can only come in by evolution or revolution. It's no other way. It's going to be one of the two. And when you look at central banks, the ones who bring us this new currency, the common thing they have is gold in reserves. My suggestion, not professional advice or otherwise, is to be your own bank and do as the central banks do: collect assets and have gold and silver in reserves as a store of wealth and as money. That's going to end the commentary section there. And you know, the thing is, you can have assets. Let's say you have a house, you have an asset, but do you have money? Do you have money? If things happen the way we all are looking at them happening, do you have money? You may not have money. You may have the asset, the house, but you may be in fiat. Fiat may not be working so well. So we have to find a replacement for that fiat money. We have to find money. So you may have that house, the asset, but you may need money which you don't have anymore because you only have fiat. So what's going to end up happening? You may have to sell that house for money, meaning you may have to sell that house for gold. You may have to sell it for silver. And this is another component why we do hold gold and silver, because when fiat starts to crumble, people can have assets, but if they don't have money, they're going to have to sell those assets in order to get money. And that's the point. One of the points of having gold and silver. Okay, one of the points. That website, if I went a bit fast, it's explorer cache.gold, or what you can do is just type in cache, CACHE .gold. It'll take you to the website, and then you go ahead and look for gold backing. And I tell you guys, because I do think all of us should have some gold, maybe even some silver that is digitized, because when it comes down to bartering, you know, again, if you're in Washington State and you want to get something in Canada, can you cross that border? I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you won't. And this guy is willing to sell something he has for gold or silver. And you have gold and silver. How do you get it to him? You may not be able to. And so why you're buying this or hanging on or holding gold and silver, you know, then becomes frustrating because you want it to do something for you and you can't have it do what you need to do for you. If you digitize or digitalize some of it, have it as a token, now you can transfer. You can transfer that to, let's say, that guy in Canada. He can see on the blockchain such as cash that this guy is legit. The gold is really there, and he knows it's real. He knows it's true. And then you can go ahead and do your barter with him. So it is important to have some of it as or in token form. I know that's rough. I mean, even for me, it took me a while to get my head around this, but I do believe that fiat is not going to make it. I do believe that you may have to barter with your gold and silver. And I do believe that I may not be within arm's reach of this guy who I want to barter with. He may be somewhere else. How do I get my gold to him? So just consider that. Keep that in mind or have a thought about it. How do you get it to them? And again, I'm going to offer the solution of cash, CACHE dot gold, mainly because I know the gold is there. I know it's in three different places: Switzerland, Singapore, and the US. So if I go ahead and get that token and I want to take gold, I want physical gold, and I'm in the US, I can just get it from Dallas. Dallas will send it to me. And that's the good thing. You can either redeem it for cash, fiat if you want to. You can use it on an exchange. Cash is on exchanges, so you can go ahead and flip it into Bitcoin if you want. Okay. Maybe that guy you want to barter with wants Bitcoin. You can go ahead and do that. Or if that guy wants gold, you can go ahead and transfer it to him. So it is good to have some uh, tokenized. Okay. I don't want, sorry, I went into this a bit. Um, with load, I mean, there are a few out there. I mean, I know you're asking about load. You need to. Everyone has a different fit or need with what they're looking for. I would say do your due diligence. Look into it. Just look into it. Look deeply into every other token out there. And for me, like I say, first thing is you got to show me it. If I'm buying a gold backed token, the purpose is it's gold backed. So I want to see a gold that's backing it. It's a pretty simple request or demand, however you want to say it. But for me, if I'm buying a gold back token, you better show me that gold. That it's very simple, right? So anyway, let me take a look at few of the comments here. Sorry guys, I know this went a bit long, but I hope we have a better understanding of CBDCs. Um, it we'll see what happens with it. But main thing, I would say have alternatives. Have alternatives. And if you have assets, maybe all the more important that you have alternatives to money, things like gold, like silver, whatever it is, Bitcoin if you want. Let's see. Let's see. Neophyte Sacker, Vincent here chiming in. If you are referring to Cash Explorer, it takes time to get vaults around the world to agree to be part of the ecosystem. That is true because you have to imagine vaults are not necessarily in the business of making sure that gold that you stored in the vault, they're not in the business of making sure it's real or it's pure or it is what it says it is. They're not in the business to test it. If you give them a bar of gold, you tell them you want to store it, most of them are just going to say, okay, bring it here, here's your storage fee, okay, we'll take care of it. But did they actually go ahead and check if that gold is real? Did they go ahead and weigh it? Did they go ahead and test it, whether it's density or ultrasound or whether it's X-ray? Chances are a vault didn't do it. It's not in their normal operational scope to do things. So with cash, what we did with Switzerland, we had to help them, teach them with it. With Dallas, we had to help them, teach them with it. And you know, if I was storing gold somewhere or silver somewhere, I would want my vault. I would want them to check it. Frankly speaking, I'd want them to check it. I want to know that what I'm storing with you is real because let's say I'm overseas or I bought it from a bullion shop, in another state. I've never even seen it. I'm just going off of that. They're telling me it's real and I'm storing it in a certain place. I would really want that vault to test it to make sure that my gold and silver is real. And the reason why we also do that is because of our peer-to-peer secured lending program, which does allow you, if you are storing gold and silver with us, you can go ahead and use that as collateral. Why? Because we tested your gold, we tested your silver, we know it's real. So you can go ahead and use that as collateral to go ahead and get out a peer-to-peer loan. So those are a few other reasons why it is an ecosystem, as Vincent mentioned. It's a huge ecosystem that unfortunately a lot of us never see. A lot of us never understand. Um, Geez, I'm kind of ranting here. Huh? Sorry about that, guys. Um, anyway, I do appreciate you all being here. As I always say, times whatever times bring, try your best to be a blessing and not a burden. We are going to need to help people. if we're awake to all that's going on, let's do our best to help people. We may not convince people, but when the time comes, um, they're gonna know who you are. They're gonna know what you said. They're gonna know where your heart is. So do your best to be a blessing and not a burden. There are going to be a lot of burdens out there, so we got to help them out. James Richter, Vincent running for president. I'm trying to tell him, he's got to run. 2024. Hey, I'll vote for you, Vincent. So Vincent, yes, he he's got to run. I mean, who we just need help with the campaign. His campaign management, and he'll need a vice president. You know, I don't know if he'll choose me, but I'm available, Vincent. For vice president, that is. So anyway, anyway, um, let's see. Um, okay, let's see. I mean, I guess it's. I personally don't need serial numbers. When I deposit 5K in a bank, I mean, for me, if I were to put money in bank, put it that way, I mean, I know it's all just fake digits anyway. You're just transferring digits to each other. It's that's all it is. It's just digits, and there's nothing. It's not really entirely real. But if I'm going into a gold back token, I'm going into it because I want to have something real, if someone's selling me a gold back token, they better have the gold behind the token and not just tell me it's there, but show me. I mean, when you look at banks, you're dealing with fractional reserve lending, or you put your 5,000 in, what they create 10 times of whatever that is, give it out to people, print money out of thin air. I mean, uh, I don't mean to, disagree this hard, but these are two entirely different things. One, I mean, we're not creating a fractional reserve system with gold bars here. It's a one-to-one deal. I mean, and we're making sure that this thing is real. So I think we're talking two different things right now. Respectfully, I'll disagree a bit with that. Um, let's see what else is out there. You know what? I think I kept you guys long enough. Um, appreciate you've been here. Appreciate your comments. Guys, whether we agree on things or not, whether we disagree on things. Main thing is, like I say, we know what's coming. Take care of ourselves, our families, our friends. Do whatever we can. Be that blessing, as much as possible. We're going to need to help, guys. So I appreciate you. Appreciate you all being here. Um, Appreciate you being here. I have cargo pants. I have cargo pants if you need help. I kind of miss that, but I love cargo pants. My wife tells me I keep dating myself every time I wear cargo pants. Long pants, shorts. I need my cargo, my pockets on the side. Anyway, appreciate you guys being here, and see you in a couple weeks. We have Rafi Farber coming up, and then Rob Kirby's penciled in. So again, do subscribe and hit that bell, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care as always. Saddle up for what's coming ahead, and silver up as well. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Take care.